Hey dreamers, this is Anisha Jennings, a fellow immigrant and an entrepreneur. From being an engineer in India to building my tech business in the US, I've lived the journey you're on. Welcome to Your American Dream podcast, where we turn immigrant challenges into superpowers. Are you feeling out of place, struggling with a job hunt, or simply missing home? I've been there, and I'm here to guide you through it. In each episode, we'll dive into real stories, practical advice, and mindset that will help you write your unique success story. From navigating cultural differences to building a purposeful life, I've got you covered. So if you're ready to turn your immigrant experience into your greatest strength, let's dive in. Your American dream starts now. Welcome to Your American Dream. I'm Anisha Jennings, and today I'm excited to welcome Yolanda, a strategist with a background in law, strategic communications, and change management. Yolanda is someone who deeply values authentic relationships and meaningful connections. She has relocated 6 times across her life, embracing cultures and experiences that have shaped both her worldview and her approach to leadership. When she's not working, you might find her traveling the world, enjoying Verona in Italy, relaxing on Caribbean beaches, or having afternoon tea at Fortnum and Mason in London. Welcome, Yolanda.
Oh, Anisha, that's beautiful. You given a very good picture of me. Those are things that I like to do. That's the ideal state. Obviously, I'm not on Caribbean beaches every day, though I would absolutely love to do. I'm not at Fortnum and Mason, pardon me, I'm not at Fortnum and Mason every day, but I'd love to be able to be there
Sure.
absolutely every day too. But yes, thank you so much for inviting me on your show. I'm delighted for you, for your success. Congratulations. And it's an honor to join you.
Thank you. It's my honor to be able to interview you. I had such a fun time chatting with you the first time we spoke, and we connected on so many different aspects, moving, faith, kids, and we just hit it off. So
We did.
I would love our audience to feel that same connection with you through your story today. And yes, without further ado, tell us about, the 6 different relocations that happened in your journey from where you started to now you're back in the US. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And I have to say, I did all of that on purpose.
Perfect.
So my first move was from the Caribbean at the age of 10. I didn't have much say in that because my family moved. My parents loved to travel and they moved to England. They moved around a lot because I come from a family who seems to enjoy just traveling to discover, just to see what there is to see and what they can do for themselves, and show us the world. Right. And so I was born in the Caribbean. We all were. I'm the youngest of 7, and we grew up there in an environment where everybody around us looked like us. And we knew our history, our strength, our courage, what was expected of us, and so on. And I moved at the age of 10, having been quite grounded in who I am and my whole ancestry and so forth. And having moved from a place where there are beaches and sunshine, and the houses are all different. You don't have like rows of houses stuck together.
Yes.
Arriving in an environment where not only were the rows of houses all stuck together, but they all looked the same. You couldn't see any expression of the character of the people who lived in those houses. Everything just looked like cookie cutter. And my first 3 years in England was just horrific. I think I cried for like 3 years because chimneys and people wearing punk outfits and piercings and strange music. that culture shock was very jarring, but it all turned out fine. I went to school there. The bulk of my family was there, and so we had each other for comfort and familiarity and to recreate a sense of home, our food and our music and things that we like. But we integrated so nicely because of school. There were jarring moments, many, but going to school and going to university there was also part of the shaping. And from there, I moved to France as part of my studying. I was over there just for a while whilst studying, whilst working. I was at Créteil Prefecture University in the 13th or 12th arrondissement, the section, division or region. And that was another experience of reshaping because it's where I learned to live life the Parisian way, to be French, though I do not describe myself as French at all in any way. But just to have that experience and to live it authentically. I feel like I was adopted by the women in my office. They just helped teach me, oh, keep your hair natural, but do it like this, or, this is how we do it in France, don't change this. But we don't wear trainers to work, Yolanda. We don't wear trainers to work, Yoli. No, you can wear ballet flats, and they were not imposing themselves. But they were so adamant and insistent. Experience Paris like a Parisian
Oh,
and eat like a Parisian. We don't have sandwiches at our desk, Yoli. You go out for lunch, you can go home, or you can go to a restaurant, you can go for a walk, but you have like 2 hours, no work. We don't talk about work. Eating lunch is all about the community. It's all about the person you're with and sharing what's going on in life and
wow.
the universe. It's no, we don't do that. We have wine. We slow down. We enjoy, live
Wow.
fabulously. And so I did. So after that long spell in France, I came back to England. That's my third move. Now,
Mhm.
here's the interesting thing, Anisha. Moving from France back to England, where I grew up, I wasn't expecting culture shock. But when I arrived back in England, I think that was another big culture shock on
Wow.
part moving from the Caribbean to England. I turned the TV on one day and the stuff coming out, I was like, oh, it's English. And it took me a while. I had to move myself away and just be quiet for over a week or two just to reset my mind on something. I don't know what, but that was a culture shock. I had to learn how to live in England again, to think, dress, well, not dress. I love the Parisian style, but just to be able to live. But I had to
Right.
pull myself away and be quiet and bit by bit and my family thought, oh, is something up with her? Is she unwell? But it was very jarring. I didn't expect. And so I moved to the US as a professional, then again as a wife, having only just married. I made my first permanent move to the US. I don't recommend that for anyone at all. Married less than a year, moved to a foreign country where we knew no one else to rely on, just us and our green card and chasing the sun and
Yes.
expecting everything to be the way it was back at home in England. Make friends, settle down. No, it was not quite like that. It was a milder culture shock because being so much older and going with somebody else. But we had to learn how to live in California. People here don't really wear perfume. And it's those sort of little things. And then again, I moved from California. I'll make this really quick. From California back to England as a wife and a mother, which then
Wow.
requires different um, characteristics and energy and beings, and just pulls things out of you that you didn't know you have or needed when you move, when you relocate as a mother, and then from England back US, which is really hard because it was hard for my daughter. So I think that's probably the sum of maybe 5 or 6. Yes.
Wow. You're such a great storyteller. You know that?
Well, thank you. I just enjoy talking.
I love that. Love it. So tell us a little bit about, while you were making these moves, even though intentional, and you said culture shock, what kept you steady through all of this? Like, what was your, looking back now, what would your advice be if someone was kind of getting on the same boat as you are now? So, what would your advice be?
I think really what kept me doing that is because of curiosity, because I don't want a life that is limited. I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to live in fear of experiencing different environments where there are bound to be challenges because of the differences in languages. I'm curious all the time. I want to know how other people live. I want to see what would happen if I put myself in certain situations as long as it's safe.
Hmm.
How would I perform? I always look forward to who will I be? Who will I become once I've done this? Once, what will I gain in terms of experience and how will it shape me? And that's really what drives me, as well as this. I think moving to France, that was all about education. And it's also part of the requirement or when you study, when you're living in England. We are always, it's part of the curriculum to go to France for a month or however many weeks and or Spain or somewhere. So I always kept that going. And I remember in particular one morning, I think I was probably about 19, 20. I woke up a Saturday morning and I decided, oh, I'm going to go to Brussels. I wanted to just experience Belgium because I'd never been there. And so I booked a hotel, packed a small bag, and drove to the train station. And I met another woman, a friend of the family. And she said to me, where are you going? I said, oh, I'm going to Belgium. What, by yourself? I said, yes. Why are you going by yourself? Because I want to go and I've been there. Are you going by yourself? Take someone with you. I don't know if anyone can or want to, and I didn't ask. Oh, and she said to me, but I could never do that. I would be too afraid. What would I do with myself and how would I function there? And I stood there and I listened to her and I understood exactly what she was saying. But I didn't have those reservations. I didn't want to have those fears. I didn't think about it. And I decided there and then that I don't want to be like her when I get to her age. And she was about 40 something at that point, 45, 48. And at that point, she didn't travel alone. She was too afraid. And I think there are all these containers that we put around ourselves and limitations, but also that other people will put on us, whether we are people of a different race or people or color, race, whatever, or just maybe as women, I don't know. But I decided I didn't want to live like that. I don't want to have a life of regrets. And so I went off to Belgium, had a good time, came back, and a year later took my mum. And then I just kept going here, there, and everywhere, US, Canada, various other places, because I want to know that I'm brave enough to be able to do uncomfortable things.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's so true. It does take courage to get out of your comfort zone and do something where you're challenging yourself. So tell us a little more about your career path with all this travel. Like, how did you manage all of it? Give us some tips.
Oh my goodness. So I'm not entirely sure. I think it's because when you're in England, living in England, well, maybe it's Europe or everywhere else around the world, you have more holiday time. And I think it's also the geographical location. It means that you can go away for long weekends, leave a midday on a Friday, spend Sunday, Saturday, Sunday abroad, come back Sunday evening and then go to work. You can have all these experiences. But I started working as a consultant after I studied law. I didn't stay there because I just didn't. I didn't know anything else in life. And I wanted to find out what else I could do. So I somehow got into strategic communications and I worked as a consultant, initially like a contractor. And I moved on to becoming a consultant. And so that gave me flexibility to design my hours, to work from home, and to design just how I live. And obviously, keeping in mind that you only get paid when you work. So I would work for however many months. And if I'm between a contract, then I would go and travel. The relocating was actually just part of my education experience. And moving to the USA, I was working as a consultant at that time. And I met my husband and we kept talking about moving abroad and he's a medic. And so we had to figure out where can he work as a doctor. It would be easier for me to find a job than it would be for him because of certifications and all that sort of stuff. And so we thought, where can we find more sun? Where can we work where the language is not a barrier? And so we landed on Singapore, Australia, far too far away. The US, easier to get back and forth to meet the family. And so that's how we really designed it. We didn't put a lot of thinking into it at all. I would recommend that everybody really do it, plan it far better than we did. We didn't plan at all. Moved our stuff, arrived. We're tourists, but you're not. When you relocate, you're not a tourist. Not at all. So I don't know if that answers your question. I hope it does. Let me know if it does.
Yes, it does. Yes, definitely. So I like how you keep saying looking for sun, looking for sun.
Yes, that's how we ended up moving to the USA, to California. We had the
Yes.
option of going to Seattle, and so we visited Seattle for a week or so, and it's lovely, gorgeous, beautiful. But there was a lot of rain, and we thought, well, England is a bit like that. We are not going to do that again. And so here we are in California, and it's sunny. Yeah.
Yes.
Adventure and sun.
Yes,
That's all
for
we were
sure.
thinking about.
What a great combination.
Yes.
So your career spans law, strategic communications, and change management. How do these fields connect together, and how did it help you in your business?
Law doesn't really connect with anything other than it was a desire I had at 15 when I didn't know what it was I wanted to do. And then at school, I said to my careers teacher, I think maybe I want to study law. And he went, no, that's not for you. Why not? No, 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 no. You need to think about something else. But I was like, is that right? Well, I'm going to show you, you little.
Yes.
And so that was it. It was game over. So I went and I did it just because this man told me that I couldn't. And I don't like being told, I can't do that. Don't tell me I'm good enough. It might have been that I wasn't, but then I decided, I'm going to do it. And I started hanging around solicitors and lawyers, and they would give me advice. And one in particular kind of took me under his wings and taught me how the whole system worked and what I would need to study and all that sort of stuff. But that doesn't really link to anything else. Moving from that into strategic communications came by accident. And that aligns with change management because for me, it was all about solving and fixing things and learning how to write, learning how to communicate, learning how to tell messages, learning how to share messages and tell stories so that other people understand how they are part of the picture. And I guess that's really what I'm doing now with this podcast, this business that I've started. It's about bringing people together. It's about sharing stories to make people's lives better. It's about learning from other people's wisdoms. It's about forging connections that can somehow work together, align, and find comfort in solitude and advice and tips and strategies and problem solve, because something that I've learned as well from doing the podcast is like we travel for so many reasons. Me and my husband traveled, as I said, for fun and adventure. Other people move for love and all these other reasons. And my second guest on episode 2, I wasn't expecting it at all. She moved to the US, being invited by an American who sought her out in Brazil and wooed her for years. But when she moved, he and his mom took her passport away and she was held. She was basically trafficked, labor trafficking. And it was horrendous. And she shared her stories. And I was just horrified because I just hadn't thought about it. And
Right.
so it's learning about all of these different situations. There is a great deal more to it, but it's unfolding with the stories and people's lives and their adventures and experiences. But it's how do you overcome those situations in a foreign country? She got her citizenship. She is now adding value to the community in which she lives. And these sort of things are happening around us. I certainly wasn't aware. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like the majority of us are not aware. So I also tell these stories and do what I do because I don't want people to just make these random, rash assumptions about the foreigners who live here. Because we bring value, we bring humor, we bring skills, we bring stories that interlink with your lives, with everybody's lives. That's how we're connected. And what I've learned and the wisdom that I have and the tips and strategies that I have may help you in your quest for transforming your life, however that might show up for you. So we add value, and I want to share that value. I want people to share their voices too. Yeah.
For sure. And you're doing amazing work. So tell us more about how your business came into being and what you're currently doing and what your next adventure is.
My gosh. Well, first of all, my next adventure, I think my husband would like me to stay put and just do the adventure of wife and mom and home and all that sort of stuff. Well, for now, anyway. But how the business came into being started with a podcast. It's still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still in the infancy stages, but it's so big and huge, and I'm excited about all the different aspects of it. This came about because friends and I would have these random, exciting, heartfelt conversations in the car on the way to a spa to celebrate birthdays and that sort of stuff. And they would always say, Yoli, you should record these. Why don't we, do this, or you record it and do a podcast? And my response would be, why would I do that? That's nothing, I have no interest in that. But that kept happening over and over. And in 2023, other people just randomly started saying the same thing. Yolanda, you should record some of these conversations we have. You should do an app this, and it just felt like different people, different groups of friends and acquaintances. And it got really weird when I would go into supermarkets and have random conversations with people I don't know, just waiting in line. And in chatting, they would say, oh, do you record? Do you do voiceovers? Do you have? And I started seeing all of these things, and I thought, what is this? Is somebody telling me something? Should I be listening? I decided, you know what, maybe I thought about it long and hard for ages because I really resisted, because it felt uncomfortable. And I felt like I would be putting myself out there. And that feels or felt uncomfortable. I decided one day I'm just going to do it. And I mentioned it to the parent of a friend of ours from school. And he said, I have a studio you can use. Let me show it to you in 2 hours. And then he said, I have a microphone. And somebody else said, I know a good app. I'm going to put it on your laptop. Bring your laptop. I'm going to show you how to use it. And somebody else said, you should speak to my mom. My mom has a really good story. So does my friend. I'm going to give you that. And so things just started happening. And there I was in the middle. I really was. I was petrified. I was like this. And I didn't know what to do with myself for a couple of months. It was like being in the middle of a whirlwind. And I had to be brave and learn to, say yes and record my first podcast. I didn't know how any of this worked. And so it's been years of learning what it means, being a rabbit or a deer in headlights and just being petrified.
Sure. But you did take the leap, right?
Yes, because I don't want to have regrets. I don't ever want
Yes.
to. What would have happened if I had? So
Right.
here we are, the places we call home, LLC. And I'm working to create not just these stories, tips and tools and guides, and have conversations and forums where we can problem solve for people who are moving abroad and coming a cropper, as we
Yes.
say, where it falls apart. But you've moved as well. And,
Yes.
what was it like for you?
It was hard because I did not know what I'm going to do either. It was just like, okay, I need to move. I'm moving. I need something different. I need a challenge. I am saturated. I'm not sure what's going to happen next, but I gotta go.
That was it.
That was it.
And remind me, where did you move from?
India.
Ah, yes, I thought it was, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been here now 14 years on and off because we
Wow.
go back so often. How long have you been in the US?
It's been 10 years now. This is my 11th year.
Okay, yeah. So you have all the
Yeah.
stories about making friends and
Yes.
just belonging, feeling like you belong.
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like you're at home. I had to learn that I had to make that happen. I had to create that.
Right.
And I had to create that through community. Would you say that's been the same for you as well?
Absolutely. Community has played such a big role, and that's pretty much what most of my guests talk about on the show is community, finding your tribe, finding your people, and then building and nurturing those relationships, because most of us when we move, we're not generally moving with family. We are either alone or with spouses, or it's just different. So finding your people, your cheerleaders kind of is so important.
Yeah, it really is. Pardon me. I didn't even initially in those early months, years, I didn't even realize that that was a piece of work that I would have to do because there isn't really anything, certainly
Hmm.
at that time, there wasn't really anything written down, or at least if there was, me and my husband, we didn't go and look for it. That
Yes.
would say, you're going to have to deal with homesickness and you're going to
Yes.
have to be intentional about handling culture shock. And you need to design how you're going to meet friends because up until then, everything had happened so organically. So I expected life to unfold
Yes.
organically, but it didn't and it doesn't. Maybe it's an age thing. I don't know. But just being abroad, you have to, I learned that I had to not only just find people to talk to and to try and connect with, I had to step away from the people I was trying to connect with, Anisha, and I
Yep.
had to do some work of understanding what's good for me,
Right.
what feeds my soul, my spirit, what do I need? And I realized I needed people who will be authentic and transparent and open up and
Hmm.
who would allow me to just share myself, but who in turn would reciprocate that, would share themselves. And that's the authenticity that's when that arrives. I had to find out the sort of people I wanted to be around and then go and look for those people
Yeah.
rather than arriving, meeting people, just connecting and life is, we're here.
Yeah.
So it's all those sort of things, building friendships and therefore building a community. It's not just packing a suitcase and putting your pots and pans on a ship, and filling the house.
Exactly. And that's the objective of my show, is to tell our stories, to say that it's not just packing your suitcase and moving. There's a lot more that comes with it. And here we are sharing our real experiences of what that moving looks like.
Yeah, and it's also about, anticipating that maybe there might be some language connection
Mhm.
issues, even when you speak English, because even up to now, somebody said something to me the other day in a workshop, 80, and I had to pause. Did she say AD? Did she say Addy? Did she say NT? And it's these sort of internal conversations that I have to have and then go, sorry, did you? And ask just to get the clarifications. But there is still these little challenges in culture
Yes.
and language. And so if English is not a first language, it's, because that also leads to how you then see yourself in this new environment. I feel as if we sometimes shrink away when these issues come up.
For
You
sure.
feel different about yourself. You're not the expert you were. You're not viewed in the same way professionally as you
Yeah.
used to be. So how do you deal with that? How do you reinvent yourself? How do you get yourself to a position, a state where you see yourself healthily and others see you the way you want them to? It's
Hmm.
all of these we need to discuss and be prepared for.
For sure. So, what is the name of your podcast, and who are ideal guests for you?
Podcast is called The Places We Call Home. And right now, because I'm in the USA, I'm having discussions with ideally women because I'm focusing on women, but I don't say no to men if they have a great story to tell. But I'm talking to people who want to share openly and be transparent about the journey they have undertaken and the challenges, but also the wins. What do you love about living here in the USA? What worked? What hasn't worked? Who are you now? since you've moved? Has there been a transformation? It's people who can see that progression,
Yes.
who are just, feeling themselves that they're adding value. These are the people that I want to chat with. People like you.
Yes. I would love to be on your show.
You are welcome. That's it. It's a date.
Yes. So for your business, who are the kind of people that you would love to work with? And if somebody wants to find you, what's the best way to connect with you?
Oh my goodness, the people that I want to work with. I've been spending some time talking about change, talking about what we go through psychotherapist, sorry, talking about change and how it impacts the body and
Mhm.
the thought processes, because I don't come from that background. My knowledge and my expertise, if I can call it that, is because I have lived it and I have had to find solutions. So I want to chat more with people who understand how the human mind works and who understand how we manage stress and how we pull ourselves through those stressful, transformative periods in our lives, because there are moments we never forget. Yes. And sorry, what was the other question?
How can people connect with you? What's the best way to connect?
Connect with me on Instagram, Places We Call Home Pod, one word. Connect with me by email, guest at theplaceswecallhome.com. I'm also on Facebook, just The Places We Call Home. Just Google me, The Places We Call Home, and it'll be in there somewhere. Yeah.
So, talking about identity, balancing, and belonging, how do you stay grounded when you are navigating all these multiple roles of a strategist, a mother, a partner, a friend, and just being you?
How do I stay grounded? One moment at a time. I get my energy and I am energized by being around people. I'm energized by spending time by myself, by having facials and massages and enjoying different teas. I love drinking teas. I love sitting down with a book. I do get excited about, oh, what tea am I going to open? Is it going to be a smoky old grey? Is it going to be an Assam, a Senator, or something? That's just me. And to be honest, I just love going for walks and hikes, and I love shopping. I meet up with a
Beautiful.
friend, go shopping. Can I just quickly add? I forgot to
Yes.
mention. One other way that people can get in touch with me is on Spotify. Just searching for the podcast, The Places We Call Home, and have a listen and leave a comment. And I do go through those comments, and that's another great way to share your thoughts and ideas with me. I love that.
Beautiful. We will have all these links in the show notes for our listeners. So, what does the American dream mean to you today?
What does the American dream? I'm used to asking people that. This is the first time anyone has pointed that question back to me. The American dream. I think, first of all, there's maybe one or two things to consider. The American dream, is it still alive and does it apply for everybody? And I think, yes. And does it apply to everybody? I think, yes, it can, but you have to want it and you have to be in an environment where there are people around you who support you. And I think for me, the American dream is sun. Always coming back to sun. Oh my gosh, I can't help it. But yes, it's sun, but it's the people that I've met. It's the community of people around me who have said to me, yes, you can be a podcaster. Yes, I'm going to help you. Yes, Yoli, I'm going to help you set up Instagram. I know you hate doing social media, but this is how you're going to do it. And it's the people around me who say, yes, you can, and I'm going to help you. That is something that I have not met elsewhere, because it means that you are being empowered and enabled to create and to become. What that becoming is up to you. Define what it is that you want. You can learn and you can become.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for being here today. I had such a fun time listening to you and hearing you share your story, your journey, and your experiences.
Anisha, the pleasure's been mine. You've allowed me to do my favorite thing, which is talk. And I hope I wasn't talking at you, but I hope
No,
you enjoyed it. And I'm looking
I
forward to
did.
us chatting some more. Thank you for your
Yes,
time.
you're so welcome. Thank you as well for your time. As we close this thoughtful conversation with Yolanda, one thing stands out. Life becomes richer when we lead with authenticity, curiosity, and meaningful relationships. And if you're building a brand, platform, or business that reflects your story and your vision, I help founders and leaders bring that vision to life. From building strategic, high converting websites to managing and producing podcasts to providing team and operational support as your business grows, we help you create the structure behind your expansion. Because growth should feel supported, not overwhelming. This is Anisha Jennings reminding you that your American dream isn't just about what you build, it's about the life you design around it. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning into Your American Dream. I hope this episode left you feeling inspired and ready to take on the world. Remember when I first landed in the US, lost and overwhelmed? Well, look at us now. We're building our dreams together. Your story matters, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. If you enjoyed our chat today, please spread the love. Rate, review, and share. Let's grow this amazing community of dreamers together. Want more? Catch my daily doses of inspiration on my Instagram at Jennings Tech Corner. Also check out the show notes for more ways to connect. Remember, your accent is the voice of your ambition. Your background is your superpower. Let's dream big and achieve bigger. Until then, this is Anisha cheering you every step of the way.